Guys, I hope this works out. There's probably some really tech-savvy way to do this, but I'm not a tech-savvy guy, so I'm just going to record my screen. I've had a few conversations with people about, oh, why is the speed so far off on this and that, and it looks so much faster than this. Well, a major reason is bar placement, because I've seen some of the videos, and some people are setting the linear position transducer way out from where it actually needs to be. So what does an LPT do? Let's get back to that. It's not magic. It doesn't know what you're trying to do. It's a very, very simple device. And it just measures distance and time. And an oversimplified explanation of this is it measures how much cord is pulled out and divides that by time. It works as a potentiometer, so the people who know and care about that, you can go with it. It's basically a stopwatch and a tape measure. That's all that it is, guys. So it doesn't know exactly what you're trying to measure and necessarily how to correct for it unless it's got some advanced technology in there. Now, how is the proper way to use an LPT? Now, if you've got x-axis correction, this part doesn't matter so much. Or if you're using an accelerometer, this part doesn't matter because it's always going on the vertical. So you want to place it directly under where the barbell is to get the vertical path for the vertical displacement. So the ideal position is right there at the bottom of the X and Y axis, right? So then you're measuring just the vertical displacement, and that's very important. Now, why is it very important? Right here. Now, on the left, this is that same vertical axis that we were wanting to look at and think about, and theoretically that, hey, this bar is going to go straight up and down this line. Well, that's still that vertical axis for barbell displacement, and that's what the Tyndall thinks it, or the T-force, or the open barbell, or any of those. That's what they are thinking that you're measuring. But if I put my device over here to protect it, right? They're expensive, they're sensitive, we don't want them to get broken, so you still put it over by the end of the barbell, but you stick it, up quite a ways so that it doesn't get hit. Well, what are you really measuring then? Well, we know that the left-hand side over here, the vertical axis, is the y-axis. The bottom is the x. Well, what does this look like, guys? This looks like a right triangle, okay? So this would be the hypotenuse. Now, let's get into a little bit of math here. Since we know that we're dealing with a right triangle, okay, we've got the vertical axis for vertical displacement, then we've got the x-axis that we're moving along. So then essentially we've got the a squared and the b squared. Well, now we know from the scarecrow that the sum of the hypotenuse of a right triangle is the square root of the sum of the squared of the two sides, if we go back to the Wizard of Oz. So if we go with that, we know that we've got a starting position at 12 inches. The end position is 36 inches, so a 24-inch displacement. Maybe it's a squat. Maybe it's you're dealing with a 7-footer on a bench press. I've never had that problem with me on my range of motion on a bench press. I can tell you that much. I've got my T-Rex arms. So we know that we've got 24 inches of vertical displacement. The LPT, all right, let's say that it's a clean, because we don't want the barbell to drop on it. Or, maybe it's that, it's the step back and it's not vertical for whatever reason. You can apply any of those to the situation. Well, if we run the Pythagorean Theorem, then we can see what we've actually measured. So, if my start position will be my y-axis is at the 12, then my finish y-axis is at 36. X-axis, it's 18 inches back, so that part didn't change. Our hypotenuse, though, so we sum these two, it gives us 468. We square root that and give us c, not c squared, and that's 21.63. Okay, is how much of the cord is out, so how much it's starting at on its starting measurement. We go to the end position. It's 36 inches, so we displaced 24 inches. Our x has stayed the same, because it's still the same spot along the x-axis. We square those and sum them together, and we get 1620. Okay, then we've got 40.24 is our hypotenuse. Now, the vertical displacement that was expected was 24. The vertical displacement garnered from improper placement is about 18.61. So you're approximately 25% off on your distance, right? On your vertical distance. So that's meaning 18 inches, you could be 25% off on your measurement, guys. So your speed could be way off just with that small of a change, right? So what do I recommend? If you don't have axis correction, find a better way to place the unit, just straight up. Because if you can, the old adage, you can poop in one hand, wish in the other, and see which one fills up first. These things aren't magic. They don't understand how to do things. Now, what do I mean by x-axis correction? If you have an angle sensor, it's going to use trigonometry, however many times a second for the sampling rate of the position, the angle sensor. And it's going to use trigonometry to solve for that. How does it use that? Well, if you remember old Chief SOHCAHTOA, sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, tangent is opposite over adjacent. If you have any one side and you have the angle, you can solve for the rest. So what does this always have? Well, x-axis correction, it always has the strength, so it always knows the distance of the hypotenuse. If it has the angle, then it can correct for the x-axis placement to measure the y-axis. So hopefully this helped, and I'm sorry it's a little shaky, but if you have any questions, please let me know.